So that
Cosatu says it will not be supporting any candidate for the election to the ANC's top leadership. President Cyril Ramaphosa will go head-to-head with Zweli Mkhike for the presidency during an elective conference to be held next week. Let's talk about this and the position of Cosatu with Professor Stephen Friedman. Prof, a very good afternoon to you. Grateful for your time as always. Is it greatly significant that Cosatu is not anointing or endorsing any candidate, especially for the presidency of the ANC?
Good afternoon, Tebakita. Look, it's interesting in the sense that it has tended to endorse candidates in the past. But of course, the real issue is not whether it endorses candidates, but whether it remains in an alliance with the ANC. And the indications, certainly from the way in which it's approaching this issue, is that it does claim to be in alliance with the ANC. The issue here, I don't think this has anything to do with Phala, incidentally. It's got to do mainly with public sector wage negotiations. I think Cosatu may be discovering that over the years, they backed Jacob Zuma, it didn't work out well for them. They then backed Cyril Ramaphosa, and that hasn't worked out terribly well for them. That they may finally be realizing that this idea of backing a particular ANC president and hoping that person will work wonders for the trade union movement is not a winning strategy, and so they're changing the way in which they approach the ANC.
But it goes back, does it not, Prof, to what had always been said about the alliance, that it is almost near impossible to have a Labour federation and a government of the day build a relationship where it's going to be as beneficial for one as it is for the other in the long run?
Well, you can argue about what's beneficial for one, what's the other. The point is that there has been, over the years, mutual benefit in the arrangement, and there are other countries around the world in which similar arrangements exist. In our country, the way the arrangements worked in effect is that Cosatu gets out of it a government commitment not to change labour legislation to harm the unions, and the ANC gets out of it Cosatu's supported election time. Now, both of those things are fraying at the edges, of course. The ANC has, in fact, now introduced laws which restrict trade unions to some degree, and Cosatu's ability to deliver the vote has declined. But there's probably still enough for both sides in the arrangement, for the arrangement to continue, even if, as I say, they've shifted from supporting particular candidates to just dealing with whoever happens to win the presidential election.
As you say, Cosatu's ability to deliver the vote has declined. Why exactly has that declined, Prof? Does it come down to the issue of just wages, or is it a reflection of the broader societal discontent with the ANC government of the day?
Well, I think it's really about the decline of the trade union movement, which is a huge problem in this country because, if you want the economy to work as it should, you do need an effective trade union movement. It's not that long ago, a few years ago, when the trade union movement could mobilize tens of thousands of people. These days, they call some kind of action and some kind of rally, and a couple of thousand people turn up. Really what has happened over the last couple of decades is that, to put it bluntly, the trade union movement has become part of the problem that they claim to be fighting. The connections between them and the employers they negotiate with are now stronger than the connections between them and their members. I think that what we've seen in this announcement and various other things is a belated attempt to fix that, but they're going to have to work pretty hard to fix that.
Would working to fix that include a renegotiation, shall we say, of the relationship with the ANC, or certain tweaks then in order to win back the labour force support as a movement? Absolutely.
It would certainly be part of the issue. If you look back over the years generally, Cosatu's I did say earlier that they've got something out of the arrangement with the ANC. But their expectations of what they can get out of this arrangement are very often way over the top. They've never had much influence over economic policy, for example, even if they've had influence over labour law. In any event, the kind of damage that has been done to Cosatu by internal ANC factionalism is quite great. I'm not saying that unions should be above politics. That's not. I don't know of any democracy on earth where unions are above politics. I am just saying that they need a different sort of politics and a different sort of relationship with the ANC. But the starting point here is that what comes first is their members, not the ANC. And what has tended to happen over the last 20 years is that there's this vain hope that if they stick close to the ANC, their members will benefit. And that hasn't happened, because really the only way your members benefit is if they're strongly organized and they have a strong bargaining strategy.
Given those weaknesses then in the Federation, could the ANC at this point afford to go without Cosatu as a partner?
No, I think when I say the ability to get out the vote has declined, and it has quite dramatically, it doesn't mean it's gone away entirely. The ANC obviously feels less dependent on Cosatu than it did before. That's why we saw those changes to labour law that I was talking about. But I don't think either side has got to the stage where they don't need each other at all. And that is why, although Cosatu is still saying publicly that it is reviewing its relationship with the ANC, I don't expect that to change. I mean, I was interested this morning on your channel, the Cosatu spokesman, Mr. Pamla, was explaining why they weren't going to back either candidate. He was very, very eager to say that they were playing their part in the alliance and they would be at the conference, etc. So I certainly didn't get the impression from him that there was any serious attempt to break away from the ANC anytime soon.
And, Prof, I know you don't want to go into speculation and the rest of that sort of conversation, but if you look at the alliance itself, the troubles there, when you look at the problems around Cyril Ramaphosa, the Pala report from the independent panel already causing him significant problems. We're still awaiting various other reports looking into the same issue, right? He appears to be in the lead as far as election for another term. Where do you see the ANC going in the next 12 to 24 months, especially in light of the 2024 election? How does it better itself given the multiple crises?
Well, look, as far as Mr. Ramaphosa himself is concerned, despite Pala, etc., if you look at the numbers, he's pretty much re-elected as ANC president. Unless they're going to start getting branch representatives to not vote the way their branches asked them to, because he's got over 50% of the branches. And you then add to that the votes of the provinces, and 8 out of 9 provinces have endorsed him. You can be pretty sure he's going to be re-elected. He then has 2 challenges which are related. The most important challenge, as you've implied, is that we're heading for the first general election since we became a democracy in which the result is in doubt, in which the ANC may not get 50%. So obviously everything that happens between the ANC conference and the 2024 election, from the ANC's point of view, has to be devoted to making sure that they turn that around. They don't look like doing it at the moment, but they've obviously got to try very hard. The other issue is relations within the ANC itself, because unless he can manage that relationship within the ANC themselves, so you don't continually have, quite frankly, prominent ANC people or people who hold ANC office behaving in ways which turn off voters, then you're not going to achieve that anyway. I think both of those are going to be a huge battle for Mr. Ramaphosa if, as is likely, he serves out that term. But of course, if he doesn't get it right, this may be the first ANC conference in which they're electing a leader, not for 5 years, but for around 18 months.
Professor Stephen Friedman, always good to speak to you, sir. Thank you.